And we're live. And we're live because I wanted to talk about Tyson Fury. The Gypsy King. If I can't beat a pumped up bodybuilder, I'm not any good then, am I? Yep. Tyson Fury has been doing UFC, apparently. Always amazes me. People that know nothing about mixed martial arts tend to call it UFC, as if they think that's the name of the sport. And I've had many people square up to me and say, "Oh, mate, I do UFC." Okay. I normally tell them that on a Sunday, me and my mates like to do Premier League. Yeah, I do five-a-side Premier League. But Tyson Fury has been doing mixed martial arts training. He was training with Darren Till, and his dad, John Fury, said that he looked really good in there, as of course he would. And good luck to him. If Tyson Fury wants to get in the octagon, then I hope it goes really well. He's been participating in WWE, professional wrestling, and now he's talking about giving mixed martial arts a go. But he's right to prepare if that's what he wants to do. It's not something that you can just jump into. You can't just go from boxing to mixed martial arts, just as you can't go the other way. When Conor McGregor was taking on Floyd Mayweather, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers ever, people were wondering, could Conor McGregor really beat Floyd Mayweather? Even I was hoping for it. I'd love to see an upset. But you can't expect a mixed martial artist who trains in every aspect of fighting, from striking to grappling, ground fighting, wrestling, to be on the same level as someone who has committed their entire life to one particular aspect of combat, i.e. boxing, i.e. striking with hands only. Obviously, there is crossover. There are elements of boxing that are used within MMA, and it can be done. Merciless Ray Mercer, former heavyweight champion of the world, took on Tim Sylvia in the octagon under mixed martial arts rules and defeated a former UFC heavyweight champion. But he landed that lucky punch. There's no such thing as a lucky punch. Every punch thrown is thrown with intention. But he landed the punch that is the so-called puncher's chance. And he landed it early, and that was it. Lights out. But lights out James Toney, another boxer who made the transition to mixed martial arts and took on Randy Couture, ended up with the more probable scenario, ended up on the ground, ended up succumbing to a submission. I think it was an arm triangle. And 9 times out of 10, that is the way a fight will go when one specialist fights an all-rounder in his backyard, under his conditions. If you send Randy Couture into the boxing ring, he's not going to stand a chance against James Lights Out Toney. And of course, Randy Couture acknowledged that James Toney is dangerous with hands. He said, "I'm not going to stand there and trade with a boxer, and you'd be stupid to." But that's the advantage of knowing who your opponent is, knowing what they will attempt to do. If you're in the octagon with James Toney and you know that he's a boxing champion, you know what he's going to do. You know he's going to look to land that knockout punch, his puncher's chance, his only chance. But if James Toney were anonymous, or the two fighters didn't know who each other were. You can outstrike a good wrestler or striker by convincing him that you want to do something else. If you can convince your opponent that you're looking for the takedown, that you're looking to wrestle, he will become paranoid about the wrestling and may neglect to protect himself from the strikes. I mean, that's one of the advantages of competing in the low-level mixed martial arts that I've been part of recently. No one knows really who I am. I don't know who they are. So I can go into the bout pretending I'm something I'm not. I'm not the best grappler in the world, but I can pretend I'm looking for that takedown. I can crouch like I'm looking to wrestle and then suddenly switch it up and take them out with the strikes. So all these components, as ever, are essential. I don't think you can say a grappler always beats a striker or a striker always beats a grappler. The better fighter at the end of the day will come out on top. Not always. Sometimes there'll be a lucky punch. You can land in an unlucky position and succumb to a submission. There are so many ways to win and lose a fight. And I think that's why mixed martial arts, less so than boxing, has this myth of the undefeated fighter. There's so many ways to win and lose a fight. There are not many undefeated fighters, even among the very best of the mixed martial artists, the likes of John Jones. He's not undefeated. There's not this myth of the undefeated fighter. In boxing, more so, people string together victory after victory, and the great record of Rocky Marciano, 49 undefeated, has been beaten now by Floyd Mayweather. Of course, his 50th victory was not against a boxer, but was against Conor McGregor. But still, it was a sanctioned professional boxing match, so the record stands. But for the likes of Floyd Mayweather to talk about going into the octagon and competing in mixed martial arts, I'm not saying it can't be done, but why would you bother if you've created such an illustrious career in one specialist sport? Then to imagine that you're somehow going to translate to being a good all-rounder, it makes no sense. And just as you wouldn't expect a mixed martial artist to be capable of beating the best boxer in the world, you wouldn't expect them to necessarily be the best wrestler in the world or be the best kickboxer or any of the other martial arts that are a part of mixed martial arts. You can't expect an all-rounder to be the best in the world in a specialism. It would be like expecting Jessica Ennis, the top heptathlete of her generation, to win the 100-meter sprint, or to win another one of the 110-meter hurdles. Her specialism is that she is a good all-rounder, and that is what a specialist mixed martial artist is: someone with grappling, with striking, with wrestling. But they won't beat an out-and-out striker at their own game in their own backyard. That said, I think there are some boxers that would suit the transition more so than others. There are some styles of boxing that do suit the transition into MMA, and with a bit of tweaking, with good takedown defense, if you can keep it standing and be a real sprawl and brawl fighter, I think you have a chance. I remember thinking that Manny Pacquiao's style at the peak of his power, when he was knocking them out with shots, that maybe he could transition into mixed martial arts, where the idea more often than not is to get the fight stopped, whether through submission or through ground and pound, rather than the likes of Floyd Mayweather, the likes of Tyson Fury, who is arguably the heavyweight Floyd Mayweather. These are defensive genius tacticians who can play within the rules set of boxing and do these incredible shoulder rolls and head movements and evasive tactics to make their opponent miss, to wear them down and eventually go the distance and win on points. He's, in a sense, a points fighter, and he's put on amazing performances, Tyson Fury. And when he schooled Vladimir Klitschko and defeated him on points in his own backyard in Germany, it was an amazing spectacle. When Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko, as Fury put it, he had a life and death experience. He was on the floor, and then he put Klitschko himself on the floor. And this is a more explosive, more powerful way of defeating your opponent, and it works perfectly in boxing, as does the more defensive point style of fighting. But to transition into mixed martial arts, you're not going to be able to run and evade your opponent all night, because there's too many other options. But unexpectedly, I've got a caller. Who's this? Hello.
How you doing, Julian? It's Mac.
Hello, Mac. How you doing? Welcome to the airwaves. How you doing, Mac?
Not bad. How's your nose injury, by the way?
Yeah. I think the nose is okay. It's sort of the swelling has gone down, but I've got a little bit of a bump, but that's all right. I'll be sparring again soon. How are you doing?
Okay. BMF belt.
Do you following what Tyson Fury's been up to?
Yeah. He's gone. Apparently, he was invited to play for a role in a movie as well.
Wow, this guy does everything. I'm jealous.
Yeah, no, it's true. Apparently, he's getting roles to play with Sylvester Stallone as the next film he's going to play.
Wow, superb. Do you think he's better off in acting than he would be in the octagon?
I don't know about his fighting skills, because you don't have skills to be in the octagon, but he's tall, he's got that gladiator look, so you see, the taller you are, like, you have this kind of charismatic, you're drawn to, like, people are drawn to you straight away. Like, when you walk in through the door, the first thing people notice is your height. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so, he looks the part, like, he's good. At the end of the day, this is a showmanship thing.
But some people there's height and then there's presence. You know, some people just have presence, and I don't know what it is. It's not always a size thing. It's just there is an energy about them. Maybe it's confidence.
I mean, he's a level-headed guy. I mean, watching his interviews, I mean, he's not all over the place. He's not a McGregor. I mean, like, he's loudmouth. But again, it's like I always used to say, like, I mean, going off subject, but like Ronaldo, I as a Liverpool fan, I never used to like him. Even I'm at Manchester, but I can't deny his skills. However, I always used to say his arrogance always puts me off. Like that, you see what I'm saying? Like, so Maradona was never that arrogant and never thought of himself with all that, and whereas Ronaldo does. You see what I mean? So,
Yeah, was Maradona not arrogant then?
Not really, not like not the type of Ronaldo. Like I see, not to be.
Is that a generational thing? If Maradona was around in the era of Instagram and Facebook, would he have been a different animal?
No. the coke is what put him off the rail. Like,
Okay, but the thing is, coke is an addiction, and people bigging themselves up on social media is an addiction as well. Do you see what I mean?
It's not an addiction. Narcissism is a character flaw.
Do you think so? So it's not that people are addicted to the attention. They're not attention-seeking addicts.
You outgrow that in high school. Popularity. Yeah, you want to be popular in high school. Like, come on, man. Like, there's a certain age. I mean, yes, for stardom, for extra money, to promotion, it's for you to want that. But like, Maradona wasn't ever interested in that kind of thing. He just wanted to play football. You see what I mean? But this is what I'm saying.
But he didn't he stand there and expect Italian Napoli fans to support him over their own country? Wasn't that a little bit arrogant?
Well, okay. Well, yeah.
By the way, I'm a Maradona fan. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate because in the final World Cup Italia 90 in Germany, Argentina, I think he begrudged the fact that the Italians didn't support him.
I know Ronaldo goes back to his village and opened up an airport again at Narcissus in his name. I mean, he's giving back to his community. I get that. That's really nice of him. So they kind of, I'll give him leeway. But Maradona never did anything like that, I guess. So I see the difference. But again, I'm not to be funny. When I see Ronaldo, I could picture him masturbating over his own reflection.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. But does it? But even though he does things for charity, isn't he? For some reason, I think he did stand up for Palestine at one point. Did he, Maradona? No, Ronaldo. Sorry.
You watch the news, like Tyson Fury went down somewhere in Central outside a bookstore, was taking pictures, and you got a PR person for that. You see what I'm saying? So Cristiano Ronaldo doing charity moves is because of PR stunts, or he's got someone that wants to better his image, as they would say. But it all comes with you. I mean, you don't just sign an agent, you also sign someone who, because if you're doing something wrong in the public eye, someone needs to quickly go and intercept that news from being leaked out. So you have all of these PRs, publicists, and so forth. You see what I mean? So it's the same with Ronaldo. But like, at the end of the day, with that kind of responsibility, power does come through that kind of responsibility. So I guess for the money can do it. I'm happy that he does. But in the early days, like Maradona when he was younger, I don't know. To me, it didn't seem when he was a kid to be arrogant. But Cristiano Ronaldo growing up, he wanted the respect, whereas he didn't earn it. Like, even though he earned it later on, but Maradona proved himself from young. I don't know. I mean, how can I say? I can't explain it, but I mean, I would compare back to the topic. Tyson Fury, I guess, he's got an amazing personality in that sense. That's what would draw people towards him.
I think that there's a difference between confidence and being yourself, and that could be seen as arrogant, and the person who is begging to be liked and doing anything to be liked.
Yeah, I mean, the Tyson Fury, like I said, when it comes to the octagon, you need skill. So that, I don't know, he's got the skills, if he does, but that probably if he's in the spotlight. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you thinking him getting into the UFC is not a good idea? What's your opinion? What's your take?
Oh, look, if he wants to do it, best of luck to him. But I think he could make a lot of money elsewhere without risking injury. And I don't. Being a good boxer doesn't equate to being a good mixed martial artist. It's an element of it, but you have to you have to tweak it. But good luck if he wants to do it. It'd be brilliant. I'd support him every step of the way. But you can't just presume that you're going to be good at one and means you're good at the other.
Just like was it Mayweather and McGregor? I mean, he thought he can get into boxing.
Yeah, exactly. You got like striking is one aspect of mixed martial arts. You wouldn't expect Conor McGregor to win the judo in the Olympics, but judo is part of martial arts as well.
Involved in a UFC fight as well. Like, he thought he can take on. In history, I think there was another event. I can't remember the full details. Actually, but Muhammad Ali, he either fought in a kung fu competition or
Muhammad Ali had a mixed rules fight with some martial arts champion. I think of the name Lewis, and the guy just ended up crouching on the floor and kicking him. But this was long before mixed martial arts was a sport in and of itself. This is when people thought, what would happen if you put a karate guy against a judo guy or a wrestler against a boxer? But then mixed martial arts evolved from that. So it is now a sport in its own right, and you have to know every aspect of it.
By the way, did you follow this? That's bigger than UFC.
Which the one you were talking about?
Shit, it's called. It's basically it's much bigger than UFC. The whole history of UFC, if you follow it, it's been like 15 years.
Yeah, this is what I was saying at the start of the live stream. People think that UFC is the name of the sport. It's not. It's mixed martial arts, and there's been Vale Tudo, there's Bellator, there's BAMMA. In UK, there's UCMMA. There's many different promotions. UFC is just the most famous one.
First of all, you know who Kimbo is, yeah?
Yeah, right? Kimbo Slice. Rest in peace.
I think he owned Bellator. It was his.
Okay. Makes sense.
Jorge Masvidal, who won the BMF belt, he started in his backyard when he was like...
Yeah, you were saying these guys were from a street fighting background.
Exactly. So Kimbo took his garden, back of his garden, into actual UFC, like just competing against the UFC. So as there was Bellator, but one championship in there, and it's quite big, and there's one girl that's really amazing with technique, with chokeholds and rare... Her name is Angela Lee. Like, literally everyone needs to follow her.
Angela Lee, I'm going to look out for her.
She is amazing. And look at her last fight. And she's done a twister submission. Have you ever, what's it called? A spine twister submission?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I've never seen that before. When I saw it, I was like, wow. But again, check her up. You'll be grateful that I advised you.
I will do. And there's definitely more to MMA than the UFC. I mean, arguably the best fighter ever, Fedor Emelianenko, never stepped foot into the UFC on principle, I think.
I think so. Is that the guy that they're making a movie or?
There might be. I'll have to check it out. And he was a Russian Russian athlete. And I think his brother is still competing, actually. The pair of them both fought.
His name again?
Fedor Emelianenko. But he is more famous as just Fedor. Put that into YouTube and you'll see him. And he's a very sort of humble guy. He never did any trash talking. He would never even bother with much of a stare down. He would just touch gloves and crack on with it and demolish all opponents in front of him, pretty much.
I don't know if you know this. You know the saying when they say you bark louder than you fight?
Yes.
It really shows. Like, Khabib's sitting there all quiet while Gregor's barking off,
Well... It's the philosophy of we must appear weak when strong and strong when weak. If you're not strong, you need to pretend to look strong. And if you don't need to, you just sort of know it. And there's no bravado needed. You've got the inner confidence.
But yeah, that's been interesting.
Yeah.
But, so do you think he's going to be successful in the UFC or not?
I don't think Tyson Fury will bother to go into the UFC. I don't think so. If a lot of the boxers who have transitioned, the likes of Ray Mercer and lights out James Toney, they're not on top of their game. Like, why would you need? If you're on the top of boxing, the money is bigger in boxing than in the UFC.
Like Tyson, who's that one punch knockout kind of character. Yeah, as much because the thing is, before we spoke about this, and I told you my cousin like did this move, and I couldn't move my neck for 2 days. But I realized something in a situation where 3 guys jumped you. How is jiu-jitsu not gonna help you in that situation? You need to do a one spark knockout kind of situation. Spark one of them out.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. Look, there is jiu-jitsu, the sport, and then there is jiu-jitsu, the martial art. And in a traditional jiu-jitsu dojo, you will train things like multiple attackers, weapons defense, and in that scenario, you do need to throw hands, and you do need to strike. And in a traditional dojo, they will run through that with you. But the sport is all about grappling. It starts on the ground. It's all the ground game.
I didn't know that. Thank you for the idea.
Yeah, no, but this is the thing. I mean, martial arts originally was about self-defense, and self-defense is more than just technique and knowing such and such a takedown. It's about mindset. It's about being ready at any moment. I think some people used to see Bruce Lee punch in the bag, and he would be throwing punches from his waist, and this looks like terrible technique. But you never know when you might have to throw a punch from. You might be walking along, and you have to throw from your waist. So this is the difference between traditional martial arts and all-round self-defense versus a sport where you wear gloves and you touch gloves and you do it within the rule set. Does that make sense?
Interrupt. So I just wanted to ask you, in MMA, they've got this, or UFC, there's this controversy about having these gloves because, like, apparently back in the day when they used to use just knuckles, they used to go around, be able to go for more rounds. And then sort of like padding, all these sorts, it not only causes worse injuries, but obviously it's not. So what would you think? I mean, I've watched you win. I actually watched your video of wrestling as well. You won the first one and you lost the second.
Yeah, that was in the WFMC. Yeah, that's right. Caught the guy with the triangle in the semi and then lost to some kind of an armbar from the mount. The gloves were always designed to protect the hands. They're not there to protect the fighter. So the better the gloves were, the more cushioning for the hand, the harder people could punch, essentially.
So from experience, punching with knuckles and punching with gloves, which one would you say is more effective with gloves?
Oh, with gloves. I would much rather punch with gloves or some kind of hand protection. If you land a bare knuckle punch on someone's temple, you're going to break your knuckle. And
if you can, because these Shaolin monks and all of these, they punch bricks and they smack their heads against bricks, and like they kind of immune their fist to them kind of solid states, shall we say? I mean that's how they work. I'm sure you've seen these Shaolin.
Yeah, you can. I believe you can condition your hands. You can punch bricks. I mean, a brick is a static object. It's not going anywhere. But if you punch someone's head and it's moving towards you and you catch them on the temple, it could be a broken knuckle. You catch them on the tooth, you're going to slice open your knuckle and leave yourself with a scar that might be around forever. You might need a tetanus injection. It's a lot of messy things that can happen in an uncontrolled fight where bare fists are flying. And bare knuckle boxing is coming back, although they do wrap the hands. And you can see that it is a different type of shot, and people are not swinging as wildly as you can when you're wearing the more protective gloves.
You're not wearing gloves to keep them stable, then you're going to be running out of energy quicker as well.
Yeah, that's right. And you need to, when you wrap your hands, you're strapping the wrist up so that your wrist is staying rigid. Trained boxers and martial artists can punch harder than the body can take.
I mean, I think personally, the way you can stiffen up your fist is, I used to be able to, I can't remember now anymore, but I used to do like push-ups with my fist, on my fist.
Okay.
And because using your hand or your palm is good, but your fist to actually stiffen you or give it more strength. And then I noticed after doing that, I was able to punch solid, and it wouldn't hurt me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good if you have that conditioning. Also, in a bare knuckle situation, you might be better with a palm strike or a hammer fist. A hammer fist is much safer on your anatomy than striking with your knuckles.
Well, it depends if you can get the big knuckle bit in, and at the right. I mean, there's 3 spots at the chin, which is a knockout.
Yeah.
The side, the 2 sides. These are complete. And apparently, I think you lose. It kind of hits your spine, and it sends a shock down your nervous system, and you completely lose your legs. So.
Oh yeah, the chin. I mean, the chin. This is where the knockout comes, and this is the quickest way to stop an assailant, an attacker. You know, even if you've got a rear naked choke sunk in deep, you're going to take 6 or 7 seconds to put someone unconscious. A knockout will happen in seconds. But don't forget the old verbal judo as well. It's always better to talk yourself out of it if you can.
Well, yeah. I mean, ideally, that's the best way. I mean, outsmarting is always better brains are always better than brawn. Definitely. But it's good catching up with you.
Yeah, you too, Matt. I'm glad you're up at this time. I didn't expect anything, but I appreciate it.
No worries. Also, just to say, I'm not a flat earther.
Okay, good. Sorry for portraying you as one. I know you like to question things, and that's good. I appreciate it.
But at the end of the day, this is what I'm saying. Being programmed to believing in, you don't even question it anymore. You rather not. You've been to. This is all I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm not even. But that was before I had that in there. I'm not. So you don't think that I'm a flat earther.
No problem. Even if you were, it wouldn't matter. But I'm glad that you're not.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Mac. Take care, my friend. Good night. Bye-bye. Loyal listener and contributor Mac there, confirming that he's not a flat earther. And that's nice. So I love to get in the interaction on these live streams. I don't always put the number up, but when I do, it always adds a lot to this stream when people get involved. So yeah, I think that sums up my views on Tyson Fury entering the UFC or not, and on which forms of martial art translate and which don't. Can a boxer go into the octagon? Definitely. But you're always better off learning everything. Learn the takedowns, learn the wrestling, learn the submissions, learn the striking, and then you'll find out which area of the combat you want to specialize in, or where do you want to take the fight. And a coach of mine always said, try not to let your opponent realize which style of fighting you prefer, because if he works that out, then he's going to take it to another aspect. If he knows that you want to stand and strike, he's going to take you to the ground. But if you can make him think you want to take him down and then pick him off with strikes, then you've won the mind game. And as Max said, brain is always better than brawn. Well, it's been a good one, unexpectedly. This has been Lessons for Life, and we will do it all again soon. We were here. We're gone.